Okay, so yes, we just got by far one of the biggest updates about what's happening with Diablo 4. Yes, dungeons are going to be receiving a very big overhaul. We're going to be talking about new changes to every single class based on beta feedback. This all comes from a brand new IGN interview with Blizzard. As Diablo 4, Blizzard is making a ton of changes based on player feedback. Beta players have been listened to. So I say we get straight into this and see if there's any truth to that. So it says this right here. Minimizing backtracking. The first thing changing is dungeon layouts, with Blizzard saying one of the most common pieces of feedback it received was around backtracking within certain dungeons. Multiple dungeons have since been optimized to reduce this, including Cauldron Gate, Defiled Catacombs, Derelict Lodge, Forbidden City, Hoarfrost Demise, Immortal Emanation, Core Dragon Badox, Mallwood, and Rhymescar Cavern. So yeah, it seems like they're having to go in individually and adjust the actual layouts. I was not expecting them to even touch the layouts whatsoever. Maybe they would do that post-launch. So I'm kind of curious to see what the end result will be of this. Furthermore, the article goes on to say this: our primary goal with the layout changes was to reduce certain kinds of backtracking which detract from a player experience, Blizzard said. Structure objectives that previously existed down side paths have now been repositioned to the main area. For example, this should be really good for min-maxing strategies, of course. Now, of course, we have this one right here. Dungeon events will also occur much more frequently in the final version, as Blizzard has increased the chance for an event to spawn in dungeons from 10% to 60%. Quality of life improvements were also made, such as removing the wait time when depositing an Animus, increasing movement speed when carrying ancient statues and equivalent items, and adding a mini-map ping to newly opened doors. So yeah, these quality of life changes, in my opinion, do really matter, and it's cool to see that's all being implemented. Furthermore, it says, while our dungeons offer a variety of objectives to complete, player feedback stated that the action of completing each objective felt tedious. We hope that providing bonuses such as the increase to mobility while carrying certain objective items will streamline and vary the experience of completing objectives. This adjustment is merely a starting point, and we intend to extend this philosophy to keys in a future update. So yeah, further updates will be happening even after these changes are implemented. Now, what about Cellars? Cellars are also changing. It goes on to say this: Cellars have seen some similar changes as Blizzard has increased the chance for a dungeon event to occur in Cellars. They also now consistently reward players with a chest upon completion. Issues have also been fixed where Cellars would prematurely be marked as completed, and the guaranteed elite monster would be absent from the cellar. So, that's pretty cool. Honestly, Cellars also need a change in the look and layout as well, because that's one of the redundant elements of the cellar, at least for me. They need to vary that a little bit more, so hopefully they tune into that with future updates as well. Alright, so yeah, let's talk about this one right here. It says classes are also changing. Changes have been made to classes too. The Barbarian has received a passive 10% damage reduction. Its Whirlwind skill now deals more damage and costs more Fury. And the Double Swing enhancement refunds its full Fury cost when used on stunned or knocked down enemies. That last one sounds especially useful. Now, what about the Druid? It goes on to say this: companion skills will now deal heavily increased damage. All ultimate skills have had their cooldowns reduced. The usability of Maul and Pulverize has been improved, and using a non-shape-shifting skill will now transform a Druid back to their human form. So we're headed in the right direction at the very least with the Druid. That sounds like a complete buff right there. We'll see if they have to fine-tune that even more. He was a weakling for sure. Now, the Necromancer, what about him? Summoned minions will die more often, meaning players will need to utilize corpses more often. Meanwhile, many Book of the Dead stat bonuses have been increased. The Corpse Explosion skill has had its damage reduced. Now, that one kind of makes me sad. Because I love that, you know, being completely OP with that. But anyway, it says, and the brightness of skeletal warriors and mages has been lowered. So they've adjusted that based on feedback that some of you just did not like the look of the skellies. So some of you actually did. This is going to be an interesting one to see how you all respond to that. Honestly, I'm hoping they have further customization options for the actual skellies. I think that would be really cool to be able to customize your army. Now, we have the Rogue. As the Rogue Subterfuge skill has had their bonuses increased alongside multiple passive skills. while all imbuement skills have had their cooldowns increase. So it's like a combination of nerfs and buffs, it seems, for the rogue right there. Sound off if you agree with them or not. All right, let's continue onward. It says, finally, the sorcerer's charged bolt damage has been increased and the mana cost reduced. Chain Lightning's damage has been reduced, and the cooldown of the Incinerate skill's enchantment bonus has also been reduced. Firewalls will also now spawn underneath enemies more frequently when using its enchantment bonus, and the lucky hit chance has been increased for the Meteor skill's enchantment bonus. All right, so a lot of stuff going on there with the sorcerer. Now, it says, when we introduce changes to our classes, it is with the goal of making both of them and their skills feel impactful and powerful, Blizzard said. Your feedback has helped us uphold this ideal. Furthermore, they say some players have adeptly noticed that certain skills were too powerful. One of our goals for skills is to have them be interesting to wield and interactive in terms of itemization and combat feel. We've made some changes to help in this regard, with one example being the Necromancer's minions. We've made a change that makes them more vulnerable in combat, which will make Raising the Dead a more active component of the Necromancer's gameplay. Launch is just the first step of our class balance journey, and you can expect further updates that iterate on this pillar of Diablo 4. That's an interesting change with the minions, because when I was facing off against the Butcher, I was constantly raising an army to just, you know, overwhelm him. So it was kind of fun. It made it more active. So I kind of actually get where they're coming from with that sort of change. So let's see how you all actually adapt to that change when it comes to the Necromancer, who is by far one of my go-to classes. I'm thinking about maining him in the full version. All right, so let's keep going. So there's some other things here. A better quality of life. This Blizzard is making further quality of life changes alongside fixing a ton of known issues in Diablo 4, like the Butcher boss becoming unresponsive. Yikes, I never went through that one. Now it says, a lot of these changes are coming to the game's user interface as the Blizzard is shifting things around to allow for a better experience. Okay, this should be interesting. Now let's keep scrolling down here. Furthermore, it says, this starts with the chat box now being displayed on the left side of the screen when using the centered action bar configuration. A character's stats will also now be displayed by default when players click the materials and stats button within their inventory, while the move and interact inputs can now be mapped to one button, while the primary attack input is mapped to a secondary button. Finally, the text is being changed to a new serif font. Yeah, that was one of the biggest complaints with the UI, is like, people were like, this just does not match the look and feel of what Diablo is. Please change that. So it looks like they're really like in tuned to the feedback here, which is cool to see. All right, furthermore, it says, Blizzard will discuss these changes and more in a developer update live stream taking place on April 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. Now, Game Director Joe Shelley, Associate Game Director Joseph Papara, and Associate Director of Community Adam Fletcher will also share details about the end game. All right, so that's cool. Now, the betas that were a struggle to even join for some people for both KFC and queue time-related issues saw the Sorcerer and Necromancer's classes played the most, a total of 46 bajillion hours. Deaths were recorded in total in more than 60 million hours of play. So, yeah, a lot of playtime there, of course, between the Necromancer and the Sorcerer. I myself, again, really loved the Necromancer. I need more time with the Sorcerer, though. Let me tell you what, and the Rogue. Because I was all about, just to be honest with you, I was all about Necromancer and Barbarian. I just fell in love with those classes, despite some of the controversy around the Barbarian. So yeah, some really cool stuff going on with Diablo 4 today, and you know what time it is. It is time to go over your top comments. Remember, for a chance for your comment to be featured in an upcoming video, go ahead and post down below, but let's go ahead and do this. All right, so my most recent video was about this one right here. Devs give a big warning, and it'll take you this many hours to obtain the best gear. Check it out. It's about the Battle Pass, but a warning also about keeping your expectations in check when it comes to what was advertised by some websites as like major story content every 3 months. That's not going to be the case. It's going to be more like tutorials, quest lines, little quest lines to introduce us to new gameplay concepts of that season. All right, so let's get into what you guys had to say about it, shall we? Souls says this, I think this is good. That means the story should be told fully through the main quest line. I was worried we would receive a broken up story. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong for thinking this. Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from now. So yeah, I completely get where you're coming from with that one. With Cyberpunk 2077, you guys know that I've been covering that. One of the biggest regrets from one of the developers was the fact that a lot of the main story was spread throughout too much of the game through the side stories, they felt. They were like, why did we do that? We should just kept it on the main story path. So that's definitely an interesting comment right there. All right, so we have this one right here from Taki Perel Impossible, I think it is. It says, I feel that premium battle passes should not expire, meaning between seasons you could still earn towards your late battle passes. That's what I'd expect at the very least for something you paid for time and time again. Yeah, I always put that pressure with time. Like, you only have a limited time offer, you know, that sort of thing. That's how they get people to purchase things within the battle pass. You know what I say? I say blame Fortnite. They were the ones that really started all of this, in my opinion. All right, so Philip says this. I'm cautious, but I think with time they will smooth out the big issues, and I hope they'll be fast with fixing the rest as it goes. Looking forward to playing with my friends, and I think it's a good thing that it will take a long time to get to max level. I agree, you know, I feel like that's good news. And it's good to know that there's going to be stuff to do beyond max level with the Paragon board, which we'll see if it pans out to be a really good in-game or not. There's still a lot of apprehension about the Paragon board just being boring. All right, the Red Waltz 24 says this right here. Based on my ARPG hype, after the beta, I have been playing Grim Dawn over the past week. I played it once a few years ago following a character guide, and I thought the game was alright. In my latest playthrough, I have looked at no character guides and just tried putting the pieces together myself, and now the game is amazing to me. Nothing more satisfying in an RPG than figuring out a good build on your own. Following a guide definitely puts one in an autopilot mentality, which removes half the fun of these kinds of games. Dude, you nailed it on the head. I totally agree with you on this. I highly encourage you all, when you do play the game, even if like I'm releasing guides, to kind of challenge yourself to enjoy the game on your own, you know, and try to explore it. You might hit a point where you're like, I need some help. But yeah, there's something about being able to just freely enjoy a game without having that outside input, you know? All right, so there it is, the latest happenings around Diablo 4. And of course, I got you guys covered with all things upcoming about this one. Remember, April 20th is going to be a big day for this game because we're going to have that big live stream. I will recap it right here, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you next time. Take care.